I think I am audible. Testes, testes, 1, 2, 3. Where is my thingy? No, that's not it. Why isn't my live thing showing? Oh, I am. There we go. Okay, so I can hear myself. All right, so that's that. Okay, here we are. So I have made a royal mess for myself in the GajuDesk code base where I'm trying to put a contract call interface. I've had a contract call interface in GajuDesk for some time. It does not. It didn't handle complex arguments. It only handled like single arguments, but collection arguments where you have like a tuple with a bunch of stuff in it, or you have a list with a bunch of stuff in it, something like that. Those have been, well, they're really useful. It's kind of the only way to do complex calls, and most of the time those happen in the context of one contract calling another. No problem there. But when you want to test the contract being called with a complex thing, now you got an ugly problem. So we want to be able to call that from GajuDesk directly. Jarvis has a Spivvy, Jarvis Carroll, same guy. He's done a fantastic job putting a Sophia parser, terms parser in there, so we can take arguments in as strings from the user, convert those to internal terms, generate the call data, sign it, send it off to the chain, all that stuff. So we have everything necessary to make a very generalized, accept any type of argument sort of call interface. And I need to build an interface. Well, I need to adjust the interface to take full advantage of that. In the course of doing that, it became obvious that my initial assumptions about the way that calls are being handled was really naive. So I have a developer interface that opens up, and that developer interface is a process. When you make a call, that process asks the controller to go make a call, and then it waits for the response from the chain, success or failure, whatever. That's a really naive path, because the controller doing that in the background, it kind of makes sense if you don't think about it too hard, but the problem comes in where the controller is now, potentially consumed. If it makes a blocking call to the chain, the whole program's like waiting for a response. That's not good. The second thing that happens is if something goes wrong, the controller won't crash. It'll just catch all the junk and send it back. But the developer interface is also waiting for a response. And we've got a chain of blockages, which it was easy to write early on, but now we need to kind of level up a little bit. And that means that calls need to be managed by a process that owns that call. And that happens inside of Hakuzaru already. There's a process that is, spawned just to handle the life cycle of the call to the chain. That happens there in Hakuzaru. What does not happen is management of the interface. So GajuDesk is a GUI program. It sits on the desktop. It shows you stuff in a graphical way. You point and click stuff. When you compile a contract, it generates this like call interface thing on one side, and you click if you want to call a function or dry run a function. And then what's supposed to happen is you're supposed to get a modal, what used to be a modal pop-up. A modal pop-up means that you're suspending the parent frame, and you have an inset frame that doesn't let you take any action on the parent frame until you're finished with the modal. What that means was, what it meant was that the developer interface is like frozen basically until the modal's finished doing its thing. You could send off a contract call. Well, the contract call interface would just disappear, because the modal's done with its job, so it's gone. Now the developer interface is active again, but it's now waiting on a response from the chain, which could take, who knows, depending on whether or not something goes wrong or if you have network problems or whatever, that could be an uncertain proposition. And then whenever a response did come in, it would just like show up on the whatever the affected contract was. You would just get like a result. And it was like it's a little bit hokey. So instead, contract calls are now their own process. That process has its own window. That's its life cycle is independent of the developer interface. And initially, once again, being naive, I had that be a child process of the developer interface. But that was kind of silly because they both have like kill window, little X at the top of the window where you can kill a window. That kills the process and so on. Well, if the parent dies, then this guy becomes an orphan, or does he commit suicide, or what do you do? I don't know. That did make sense. So having the parent-child relationship be from the developer interface to a call only makes sense in the context of developing something where a developer's got the developer interface open all the time and so on. What we really want to do is have the call interface be independent. And the reason for there's one more layer of reasons for this. One of the extended reasons for that is that we want to expand the definition of grids messages that can tell a wallet, give a wallet an instruction, please do something or try to do something. And one of the things we would like to do is have a call instruction to a wallet that's a grids message. And inside of that grids message, it says, try to make a call to this contract, calling this function with these arguments. Now, the awesome thing about that is that if you have a wallet capable of generating and serializing its own contract calls, before the contract call is ever made, the wallet, in this case GajuDesk, can say, hey, let me show a complete assembly to the user of what's being called, what contract is it in, and in the context of Gajumaru specifically, we have the ability to pull the source code from the chain and show it to the user and say, this is exactly what you're calling. So we want to be able to do that because it's a more transparent system. That will be harder to do with Gajumobile, just because it's going to take some time to do things like implement the full serializer and implement the call construction, all that stuff in Java or Kotlin, whatever, in Swift. So Gajumobile might lag in that feature a little bit. So you want to have a return message if you have an endpoint that says, try to make this call, and your wallet's not capable of doing that, it would then say, please make that call, please generate that call data for me, and have that back and forth real quick. That's at least a thing that's like, we have a pathway open to that. But anyway, all this implies that the controller is able to just, without the developer interface, say, hey, let's try to make a call outside of the development context. Or the controller might want to say, if the source exists, let's open the developer interface and show it to the user, and then prompt them for this thing so they can explore the source code and they can see the call and they can watch the whole call lifecycle go. And it doesn't matter if the user just closes the developer interface, the call still lives on because it's its own process. It's a child of the controller, not the developer interface, and so on. So anyway, the whole point being, contract calls are life cycles of their own that should be handled on their own, and so they need to be broken out as their own process. And that's what I have been trying to implement for a couple of weeks now. I keep getting pulled away for like all kinds of stuff, so time has not been on my side in this regard. I think my screen's showing. I think it is. Do I have the chat thing? I do have the chat thing. Last time I should put that on top. I'm going to put myself on the bottom. Okay, down there. So I have the little window inset dealy, and I got the chat thingy. If anybody shows up, which they won't, because I'm brand new at all this and I don't know really what I'm doing. I'm still using a virtual screen, so that complicates things slightly, because it is hard for me to, when I open a window, the virtual screen's not like a real view space, so I can't like open a browser over there, which sucks because I would like to show things like the Explorer. Actually, let's see if this works with links. HPS Groot testnet Gajumaru.io. Let's see if that opens. Let's see what it looks like. It's a Phoenix website, and I don't know how things are structured. That's not too bad. Okay. Do we have contract calls in here? We kind of do. Let's see if we can open a contract. Might error out. Like this is a very weird, like this thing's expecting WebSockets and all kinds of stuff, and I'm opening it with links. So this might not work as yeah, it does. Okay. Okay, let's try and open that one. Oh, I need to be over here. Let me open a new window. GajuDesk. 6H run local. Lives Hakuzaru. Equals. Am I doing this right? No, lives equal. I'm just ridiculous today. Hakuzaru is Haku. I think that's the right way to do this. Okay. Oh, and it's over on my, so, oh, no, this is right. Okay, so it's on the inset screen. Yay, okay. So let's open that, and then let's open the developer interface. Which opened over here. I gotta slide this over. Not what I wanted. That's what I mean by it's a little bit awkward to use a virtual screen because it's sometimes hard to get things to like remember where they were at because it thinks it's out of bounds, which is not good. So what did we have? In links, we had this contract. My context menus open up off screen, which is weird. All right, let's open from hash. Once again, everything's showing up over here, which kind of sucks. Okay, there's the address hash. Okay. Oh, look, we got source. Yay. Okay, so that did work. Oop, not that. I'm just being silly. Okay, well, so let's look at deployed contracts and see if we can load from chain similarly. We should be able to. Once again, bring that over. Boink. Yes, look at that. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. This is the contract editor where I would like write. You can write and edit, save, rename, whatever contracts over here. A contract that's deployed to the chain already has got the same source, whatever's deployed to the chain is shown here, and then the contract interface is shown over here. Okay, so this is a Hive contract. It's not one that I want to play with. Anyway, cool. But you can see how this like worked out. Now, what's going to happen is I'm going to click dry run or call or whatever, and we're going to get a crash. The whole thing's going to just go. It's going to barf because I've got some funky call bad type. Wrong thing. I've got some funky call bad type nonsense happening. I will look into that in a second. Let's see. Crash them here. Yeah, okay. What do I want to do about that? I want to go to Zomplog, OTPR, GajuDesk. Okay, so it's going to be this giant one down here at the bottom. Usually I can find it. What's this? 2026 82. Yeah. Doink. Reason bad type. Static block sizer. So I'm calling some function with the wrong like WX object type. Okay, fine. I'll figure that out. What I'm curious about over here is, can I go to test.gaju.market? I can. Oh, look at that. Now I can't see the pictures, but I can see like adjustable weight bench, and I can see I can see the contract. I wonder if that'll open in the Explorer. It should, but maybe we'll have. No, I got a 404 not found. Okay. It doesn't have that one. It's weird these are editable. These are like, oh, that's strange. Okay, live view. I don't know what you're doing, but see, why am I able to edit that? That's just super weird. Control U to feed. So I could just, I don't want that. What I want is to be out of whatever this is. There we go. Okay. So this is the page for this is product image. I don't think I can show the product image. Oh, it opened GIMP with the product image in it. And GIMP is enormous over here on my screen. Let me shrink this down. So, wow. That's crazy. Yeah, so it showed that it did bring the product image in. It's just like crazy the way that GIMP will show stuff. Not GIMP. This, what's it called? Links. I wonder if eLinks works better. Anyway, what my point in doing this is we have this contract address here, and I can copy it, and I can run GH run local. The reason I'm doing the libs thing here is that libs equals Gajumaru. The reason I'm doing the libs switch here is that the dependencies for this program developer interface thingy. Did that open over here again? It did. I set preferences for that so it remembers where it's supposed to go. Load from chain. Once again, shows up over here because it's dumb. I need to fix that as well. Okay, so I have this. We still need to change that to Gajumarket. But anyway, the marketplace contract for a sale item is what's over here. We will get that sorted out. So all this stuff here, this is like the contract was compiled, and this is just debug information showing me what was built. These are the type. This is like the type information for the call. So like the input type and the return types, it goes like one, the argument types and then the return type of whatever the thing is. Whatever these are all function names inside of that contract that we just saw. Callable entry points. That's why it's called callable. So I do wonder. Yes, let's exit that. Do I have eLinks? I do have eLinks. So let's go to test Gajumaru. Oh, Gaju.market. It's about the same. Just to give you some idea what this normally looks like in a normal browser. Let me open like something that won't hopefully explode on me right away. Okay. So normally Test Gajumarket looks like this. It's like a normal sales kind of site, and like you click stuff and you know you do like normal like salesy stuff there. The problem with showing this, the reason I can't just like set this browser over here and leave it is because browsers have this optimized rendering thing where it's like, oh, I'm in the background because my render frame is virtualized. It's not really in frame, blah, blah, blah. The process will freeze. They never wake up. I don't know why. Firefox does it, Chromium does it, Conqueror does it. They all do it. So until I get a real monitor attached there, it's kind of hard to use. Let's see. So yeah, I'll leave. I think links might just be easier to deal with. Anyway, I have myself a crash. Crashy crash. And it is due to what? Bad type, box sizer, blah, 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 parent class, file in there. Okay, what called you originally? GLab monotext, line 53. So let's go to that. This. WX static text new. Static text new. Now the value static box sizer. Okay, so somebody's calling that. So GDV call init on line 103 is calling that. So EGD. Oh, just to give you some idea, real quick. The way that I've got things broken up in here, GajuDesk is like the app module, basically, that like says, like that's where the start this thing kind of functions defined. There is a GD as a prefix for the whole project. If we do, we can list the ZOMP meta down there. We can do like, you know, ZX list steps or whatever, and it'll show you what's required. This is like the funky internal version of how packages are annotated, right? And then this is the pretty version. Anyway, my point here is that this is the app module, is just named whatever the app is named, and then GD underscore is the prefix for that. Somewhere in this meta is actually the prefix is held there. So when you want a template, if you want to have like ZX template some boilerplate for you, it uses that prefix to kind of comply with the way your project looks, with the sort of name spacing things, the GD. But then we have like, so there's a bunch of different modules that should be fairly obvious. Like the GUI is the GUI. All these, not all these, but most of these are either processes or libraries. So this is the controller's a process, obviously. Grids is a library, not a process. The GUI is a process. GT is my standard for jump text. We're going to switch that out with a real jump text project later. That's for translations. It doesn't matter right now. G library. Okay. That's where my meltdown is happening at the moment. Now GDM spend, I have in ZX widgets, we have a modal that is a like a fully controlled modal. Instead of the default modal that's kind of crippled, we have a full-blown thing that feels like calling a modal, but it lets you define things more fully for yourself. So anything that's an M is a modal. So GD, M, and then something. So the spend, if I call, I can just show you. I don't know why I'm just talking about it. I can show you. if I click send money, so if Bob is going to send money to, well, Jane's got more money than Bob. Well, Jane should clearly be sending money to Bob. So we're going to copy Bob's address, and then Jane's going to send money to Bob. And once again, my thing pops up on the wrong screen. I'll move it over. This screen here is the spend, GDM spend. That's what that is. So, okay, transfer Gajus 2. We selected Bob's key. We're going to send him 1 Gaju and, you know, whatever. Thank you for the foot massage. Any fans of the prequel version of Pulp Fiction? So that goes off into chain space. We get deducted a little bit. Bob, on the other hand, gets credited, which will show up in a second. I've got like a refresh delay. So there's like a 10 it's right now we don't have push notifications going to the wallet because it's very expensive to have everyone connected to like one endpoint. So what's happening right now is the wallet is polling every 10 seconds, whatever the current account is. So that's why that takes a second to delay. You can hit refresh and it'll like refresh all of your accounts in your wallet, but it is pretty spammy to do that. Anyway, that's how this is working. So the GD_M spend, that opens the spend modal, this thing. Once again, back on my screen on a other one. Anyway, this is the transfer Gajus, you know, to do a spend transaction from A to B. That's what that is. It's a live modal. It's not just a modal. And what that lets me do is it lets me do like editing things, and I can rebuild the window without killing it. And modals are much more limited. And modals have like display and then get a result back. That's it. You can't do anything else interactive with a modal, normally. At least not as defined in WX Airline. So, whoops, wrong thing again. So we have the wallet importer. Wallet importer is also one of those type of modals. There's a few of those around. The Sophia editor is a library that you saw that we have like syntax highlighting. Ulf managed to. I'm dumb. Once again, I'm not used to this yet. Ulf put well, he got us a head start on putting the syntax highlighting in, so that worked out great. So that's sort of a simplification of the Scintilla interface that lets us, you know, deal with the text in there. So SUP, that's the supervisor for the whole project. GDV is actually a behavior, but because of compilation order, we like comment out that it's a behavior. But basically, that GDV enumerates a couple of callbacks that we would expect. And it has things like safe size. What that lets you do is decide like if you're lost, like how big can I make a thing? It like checks the screen size and what are the display areas and stuff like that. And it's being a little bit overly cautious, which is why new windows are popping up on the real screen instead of the virtual one right now. It's falling down to this like error default thing. But anyway, that's what that does. And then we get into so all the GDV stuff. GDV call, that's a view. DevMan is a view, NetMan's a view, Wallman's a view. These are all their own process that have their own window to manage. So that's the naming conventions in here. So with that in mind, in the error message that we got over here, GDLib. So this is a crash, right? So GDSUP is like, hey, one of my children crashed, so we're all going down. We called static box sizer. We have that as an input. I imagine that is we're trying to make it apparent and it can't be apparent, something like that. Static text new GLib monotext. monotext is supposed to return a monotext field, text field. And we are in, that's called from GDV call. Like that's what the call originates from. And it's in the init, the initial call. So line 103 is where this call's happening, and it goes boom. And it's great because we know exactly where that originates from. So let's take a look at line 103. What's happening? GD lib monotext TXI. So static box sizer is not a valid parent type. I think it has to be any window. Static box sizer calling monotext. Yeah. We're trying to create a new static text new parent. The parent is the text sizer, which is a static box sizer, and it's barfing saying that you can't do that. So I would love to check docs and see why I can't do that. Main problem being that I don't know. I'm looking at docs right now in a big browser that's like faster. Let's see. Static box sizer. What are the parents? Oh. Is a sizer derived from WX box sizer? It adds a static box around the sizer. Static box may be either created independently or the sizer may create itself as a convenience. The sizer may create itself as a convenience. That sounds a little bit wild. Let's see if I can. Let's see if this will blow up my stream just now. If I show this, I'm trying to show this. It's a sizer derived from box sizer, but adds a static box around the sizer. Okay. We apparently don't want that as the parent. So what should we use as the parent? What's the parent of the box sizer? It's a frame. So let's try that instead and see what happens. And then what, do we add the sizer? We probably do. Let's see. Box sizer is a derived class from box sizer, but adds static box around the sizer. The static box may either be created independently, or says may create itself as a convenience. In any case, the sizer owns the static box and will delete it in the static box sizer constructor. Okay, so the static box sizer has a static box that's its child, and that needs to be the parent, not the static box sizer that's the higher level thingy. Okay, that makes sense. You're encouraged to create a windows which are added to static box sizer as children of static box itself. C class time. Okay, so how do I get? Can I get? Oh, get static. Oh, look at that. Look, there's a function called get static box right here. Get static box, and it returns the static box. So that's what needs to be the parent, not this other stuff. Okay. See, it all makes sense eventually. Not really, but whatever. Welcome to object-oriented insanity. Okay, so what that means for us is that we want box tx. Ooh. Sizer get static box tx sc, and then this needs to be tx sc box. Live monotech tx. Oop, I got another one. Huh? Oh yeah. All right, I see. I've got a couple of things going on in this box apparently that I like sort of forgot about. And we have, oh wait, hash t. My goodness, that's not going to work, is it? No. Okay. Hash t data t, that's what we want. And then info t, and then line, and then out text, and then copy button. Maybe, I don't know. This is probably going to be like a really jacked up layout. It's okay though. Maybe it's okay. We'll see. Oh my goodness, that's huge over here. Let's move this over into the thingy. Okay, there we go. Let's get this to like a moderate size that's not insane. And see if we can make that work for ourselves. That was way too big a second ago. Okay. Oh. I'm about to say open, but then what's the no, I need links, HBS, test Gaju market, and then we'll open our trusty adjustable weight bench again. Okay. Biz contract. I think Control Shift C should work. Don't. Yeah, there we go. Deployed contract, load from chain. It's over here again. Of course it is. I'm silly. Uh-oh, my browser froze. Shit. Did everything freeze? Yep, everything froze. Fantastic. That's how you know it's a good day. Can I unfreeze anything?